Why did both the Roman emperor and the Son of God say the same thing? Pleasure weakens a man. You will see how by the end of this video of what I'm actually talking about. Marcus Aurelius said that pleasure is the bait of sin, that pleasure was a trap. He was a Roman empire that could literally have any pleasure he wanted, but he understood that pleasure was a trap of man, and pleasure made you less of a man. It made you less manly. But he also believed that avoiding pleasure actually can make your life the most fulfilling and, in the end, the most pleasurable. Because it's not the quick pleasures that really give pleasures. It's the long-term fulfillment that a man gains from avoiding pleasure and embracing suffering. Jesus also said in Mark 8:36, "What good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul?" Jesus really believed deeply that all the things of this world, money, wealth, tons of women, all these things are just indulgences. And if we give into our indulgences, we're giving into our base pleasures. We literally lose the most important thing that we have, our soul. If we're victim to these base pleasures and we can't control ourselves, and we have to be fapping and washing corn and just seeking sexual experiences with any kind of women that will give us the time of day, if we're doing that, we're literally losing our souls. We're losing what makes us us, and that's our ability to reason, that's our ability to think, that's our ability to have will, to do what we want and say what we mean and mean what we say. But when pleasure is controlling us as men, we're not real men anymore. We're weak. We have no masculine soul left. Pleasure is really a feminine trait. Women are meant to indulge in pleasure. Women can handle pleasure better. Women are more built to have pleasure. Men have to engage in suffering to actually develop as men. Men have to be the backbone. They have to be the rock. They have to be the tree in the storm that holds to the ground. Some women may not understand this, but it's incredibly necessary for men to go through suffering. And men cannot avoid suffering. It's just our lives. We have to live in suffering. We're just expected to suffer. That's just the male imperative. That's just the male archetype. There's no changing that. And men who try to change that or avoid that, they go down spirals. They go into paths that are not the most ideal paths and don't lead to the highest fulfillment in any sort of way. One of them called it a pleasure trap. The other called it a cross you must carry. In the end, they meant the same thing. And if you think this is just abstract philosophy, wait until you see how this exact trap has been repackaged for modern men today. Men today are drowning in self-pleasure, corn, junk food, social media, validation chasing. Pleasure is making us softer as men. It really is doing damage to us as men. And yes, men still work. Yes, still men go to the gym. But we're spending time doing all these things that are weakening us when we don't have to do any of them at all. We could actually do our work, do our fitness, eat healthy, take care of our responsibilities, but we don't have to be engaging in all these pleasure-seeking activities as well. Pleasure makes men soft. It makes men passive. It makes them dependent on systems, the complete opposite of what it actually means to be a man. The complete opposite of masculinity. If you've ever felt weak after giving into dopamine hits of lust, you've already felt the truth. I don't need to tell you. You understand what Jesus and Marcus Aurelius was talking about so many years ago. Jesus in John 8:34 said, "Everyone who sins is a slave to sin." And Marcus Aurelius said in his book, "A man who overindulges in pleasure makes himself base." What he means by base is animalistic, not really a man, not really a human being, not really a soul. This is exactly what men feel after indulging. They feel like something came out of them, like they lost something that was dear to them, something very close to them. So many men, we've fallen into these pits. We know how it feels. We know how it feels to go down that hole. We know that exact feeling of losing our soul. It's very real, it's very visceral for men. I don't think women experience it as much as men do, but probably to their own degree. But I know for a fact that men feel this instantly when they indulge in pleasures that were unnecessary or not for the right reasons. But here's where it gets even darker. Pleasure doesn't just make you weak, it actually makes you profitable for someone else. And that's exactly what Marcus and Jesus warned against in their own ways. Marcus Aurelius had a very difficult life. He was in constant war. He lost his children and he endured endless illness. He eventually died from a plague. But yet somehow he was able to remain so composed in his writings, so stoic, so able to control all of his emotions despite having one of the toughest lives in ancient history. I mean, he lost children, he lost family. He had a deadly plague that eventually killed him. Most people in these situations might think, oh, well, he was the emperor of Rome. Yeah, he was the emperor of Rome, but so many people wanted to kill him and take his spot. He had the sword constantly above his head, and he lost so many things close to him, but somehow he wrote one of the most stoic books of all time. Why would the most powerful man in all of the world see pleasure as a trap when he could have indulged in anything he wanted? You'll see, it's not all about what he gained, but it's about what he refused that he really valued. Marcus Aurelius said, if it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. Marcus Aurelius literally says, stop complaining. And he had one of the toughest lives of probably anyone that you know personally in your life. Like, who do you know that lost children, lost family members, everyone wanted to kill them, had a deadly plague that slowly killed him? Like, not many people have lives this difficult. We all have difficult lives, but this is a man who had one of the most difficult lives possible, and he had all the ability to just waste it away in pleasure and just experience all the pleasures of the Roman Empire as long as he wanted until he died. But he did not decide to do that. He viewed pleasure as a trap, and he valued more what he refused than what he indulged in. Now, Jesus said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. This is one of the most powerful quotes out there, because Jesus is literally saying, if you want to be like me, you have to suffer. And Jesus was the ultimate male figure. Jesus was one of the ultimate male archetypes. And he said, if you want to be like me, you must pick up your cross. What is the cross? The cross is one of the worst deaths in history. Such a long, agonizing, torturing, suffering death. Jesus is literally saying to men that if you want to be godly like me, you have to suffer. There's no way around it. You're not going to get to perfection. You're not going to get to godliness if you don't suffer, if you don't pick up your cross, if you don't go through the grueling suffering day to day. And he didn't just say one time. He didn't just say, just pick up your cross once. He said, pick up your cross daily, every single day. So Jesus was really adamant about men and people in general must suffer if they want to be godly. If they want to be at their highest potential, they have to suffer. There's no way around it. And Jesus was promoting this message. But why a cross? Why suffering? Why not power or pleasure as proof of God's blessing? The paradox will make sense by the end, I promise. True masculinity thrives in suffering, and it dies in pleasure. There's different energies. We all have masculine, we all have feminine, but the masculine energy is to suffer. Pleasure is receptive, it's indulgent, it's passive, it's accepting. It's just letting things happen. It's just experiencing life. It's just manifesting. It's just enjoying the moments. This is the kind of energy that women feel more of because they have more female energy. And it flows much more naturally for women to enjoy pleasure, to experience pleasure. It's much more grounded in a woman's reality. A woman doesn't always have to suffer because a woman has more feminine energy than a man. We all have both, but a woman has more feminine energy than a man. That means she can experience pleasure with more ease, with more equilibrium, and with less negative side effects because she is a woman. She has more feminine energy. But the masculine energy is active, it's disciplined, and it's directed towards a purpose. See, women biologically, their main purpose is to reproduce and have children and raise children, where a man has to support those children, support that family, make sure that family survives. So a man needs another vision, an outward vision. And in order to accomplish this outward vision, a man must suffer. There's no way around it. Yes, bringing up children is not easy. Yes, raising a family, yes, taking care of the household is not easy. But it's not exactly suffering, I would say. There's a lot of other things that could be much worse than taking care of a household. And that's what the masculine has to confront. That's what the masculine has to go through to be able to actually contain that masculine energy and actually be a man. When men chase pleasure, they become feminine in nature. They start to carry more feminine energy with them. When you embrace suffering, you say, you know what, bring it on. I don't give a damn. I'll take on all this suffering because I know it's going to make me stronger. I know it's going to make me more manly. That's when you become more masculine. That's when you develop your masculinity. All of us men have potential inside of us that we're not utilizing. It's just the truth because we've grown up in this modern society that has softened us, that has made us more feminine. Things like OF, corn, binge drinking, taking drugs, doing all this stuff, partying until 3 a.m, or just eating unhealthy and not really taking care of yourself, not exercising, not going after what you want, being passive, just being kind of passive in life. This is promoted to men. This is normal behavior to men. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not the outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. And Jesus said, the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. That means that when you engage in what your flesh wants, you just go after the fleshly pleasures. It's weak. It can't control itself. You have the ability to control. Your mind has the ability to control. Masculinity is discipline. Masculinity can say no. Masculinity can control. Masculinity can set boundaries. If you're not able to do this, you're not really in your masculinity. You're in something completely different. You're in your feminine energy, which is okay. We all have feminine energy as men, but it shouldn't be our primary way of being. It's something that balances out, but our main energy should be masculine. It should be discipline. It should be focused. It should have boundaries. It should be able to say no and be able to say yes when it wants something without hesitation. But notice, every modern pleasure trap is designed to feel infinite. Like there's always one more scroll or one more video or one more girl that you find or one more corn video to look for. This is not by accident. And in a moment, I'll show you why endless pleasure is the perfect weapon against men. There's psychological warfare. Societies have profited from the feminine, from the weak, from the distracted for ages. Ancient wisdom always warned against this trap before even OnlyFans or corn ever existed. The enemy doesn't need to enslave you if you enslave yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is a privilege of the gods to need nothing, and of the godlike men to want little." You are literally godlike. That's what Marcus Aurelius is saying. If you are able to step into your masculine energy, you are literally godlike. You are close to God. And even Jesus said the same thing. Jesus said, "No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money." What does money represent? Indulgence, seeking pleasure, seeking that fleshly desire, because that's what money buys. Both Marcus Aurelius and Jesus, two of the arguably most powerful people in the ancient world, or most influential we can say, they both said the ideal man is free from need. He has freedom. He has true freedom because he's not a slave to his desires. He's not a slave to seeking pleasure. This is why Marcus, surrounded by an empire and temptation, chose discipline. And that's why Jesus, who could have ruled nations, he could have ruled nations if he wanted to. He chose suffering. He chose dying on a cross. Think of it. The devil offered Jesus all the kingdoms of all the worlds, all of the pleasures, but Jesus chose agonizing suffering instead of that. They both said the same truth. Pleasure doesn't free you. It makes you useful to someone else's empire. Suffering is actually the path to true power, true mastery, true godliness, and pleasure is the path to slavery, even though it doesn't appear that way on the surface. Every time you resist pleasure, you are not just denying your lust, you are training yourself in the same school of Marcus Aurelius and Jesus. You're walking the same path that Jesus demanded his followers, and that path makes you absolutely unbreakable. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no time on arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." It's not complicated. We know what it means to be a good man, and we don't want to face it because we know that it means suffering. We know that it means we have to go through pain. But you know what? That's so much more fulfilling in the end. Jesus said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple, must they deny themselves and take up their crosses and follow me." You have to deny yourself. You have to become selfless. You have to become a man that suffers for others, that suffers for yourself, that suffers just because you know that it's the best thing for the world, for you to suffer. It's what a true man has to do to actually step into his masculinity. Jesus said the final call to action is take up your cross.